Welcome back to Your Nerdy Show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. The latest episode of The Boys may have just changed everything we thought we knew about the final season, because right when it looked like Homelander was finally cornered, Soldier Boy made the one choice nobody saw coming. And honestly, this twist completely flips the entire endgame upside down. With only 2 episodes left now, the show suddenly feels more dangerous, more unpredictable, and way more hopeless for Butcher and the rest of the team. Homelander was already terrifying before, but now he may have become almost impossible to stop. What makes this even crazier is that the episode spent so much time convincing us Soldier Boy was about to betray Homelander for good. The tension between father and son has been building all season long. At first, they were allies because they both wanted power and revenge, but the deeper their relationship got, the more obvious it became that they could never truly trust each other. Soldier Boy hates weakness, and in his eyes, Homelander is basically everything wrong with modern superheroes. Meanwhile, Homelander desperately wants approval from the one person who might actually understand him, even if that approval never fully comes. That dynamic is what made this ending hit so hard. Because after everything we saw in this episode, after the Stormfront revelation, after Sage manipulated both of them, after Soldier Boy literally went to confront Bombsight and stop the V1 from being used, nobody expected him to suddenly hand it over to Homelander himself. It felt like the entire episode was leading towards Soldier Boy, destroying the serum and forcing Homelander back into a vulnerable state. Instead, he practically handed his son immortality. And the reason why he did it might be the most disturbing part of the entire episode.
You hate me. I love her more.
Soldier Boy chose Stormfront's vision over humanity. The biggest reveal here is that Soldier Boy still genuinely loved Liberty, who later became Stormfront. That relationship has been teased before, but this episode finally showed how deep those feelings actually went. When Sage planted the tape, exposing what Homelander had been hiding, the expectation was that Soldier Boy would feel manipulated and betrayed. Instead, the exact opposite happened. What Soldier Boy took away from the tape was not anger toward Homelander. What he took away was the idea that Stormfront would have wanted Homelander to survive at all costs. And that completely changed his decision. That moment where Homelander says, "But you hate me," and Soldier Boy responds, "I loved her more," honestly tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. This wasn't about logic. It wasn't about saving the world. It wasn't even really about family. Soldier Boy made an emotional choice based on his lingering obsession with Stormfront. And in doing so, he may have doomed literally everyone else. What makes this writing so interesting is that Soldier Boy is still presented as this old-school American war hero figure, yet underneath all of that patriotism, he still carries this incredibly toxic ideology connected to liberty. The show is basically exposing how nostalgia and nationalism can hide some really ugly truths underneath. Soldier Boy probably convinced himself that Liberty loved strength, dominance, and superiority, and now he sees Homelander as the continuation of that legacy. That's why he suddenly stopped caring about whether Homelander deserved the V1 or not. Earlier in the episode, he clearly believed Homelander shouldn't have it. He even seemed disgusted by the idea of making him unstoppable. But emotionally, he couldn't separate Homelander from Stormfront's vision of the future. And because of that, he crossed a line that even Sage didn't predict.
You thought Geisha's life was in danger. You brought the V1 to save her. It's the bolt in your left pocket.
Sister Sage finally made a massive mistake. This episode might also be the first real sign that Sister Sage isn't as untouchable as she appears. Up until now, Sage has basically controlled the board like a chess master. Every major political move, every manipulation, every power shift has somehow traced back to her. She always seemed 10 steps ahead of everyone else. But this time, her plan completely collapsed. She expected Soldier Boy to destroy the V1. That was clearly the entire reason she sent him there in the first place. Even Ashley, reading Soldier Boy's thoughts, apparently didn't reveal what he would actually decide in the end. That means Sage made one critical mistake. She underestimated emotion. The smartest people in the world often fail because they assume human beings will behave rationally. Sage looked at Soldier Boy logically. She saw a narcissistic, violent man who hated Homelander and feared giving him unlimited power. Based on pure logic, destroying the V1 made total sense. But Soldier Boy didn't make a logical decision. He made an emotional one, tied to his unresolved love for Stormfront. And honestly, that's probably why Sage failed to predict it. You can calculate strategies and probabilities all day long, but emotions are messy. Love, obsession, guilt, nostalgia. These things make people irrational. Soldier Boy wasn't thinking strategically when he handed over the V1. He was thinking about liberty. At the same time, though, this is The Boys, and the show loves making us question whether Sage is secretly still in control. There's definitely a chance this failure is part of a larger plan. After all, Sage herself warned the boys not to trust her. That line feels way too important to ignore. It's possible she actually wanted Homelander to become stronger because it somehow accelerates the larger war between humans and supes. But right now, the simpler explanation feels more believable. Sage got arrogant. She thought she understood Soldier Boy completely, and she overlooked the emotional connection that still defined him. And because of that mistake, Homelander may have just become unstoppable. Homelander is now stronger than ever. Once Homelander injected the V1 into his system, the entire tone of the season changed instantly. Before this episode, there was still hope that the boys could win through the virus. Even if Homelander was stronger than everyone else physically, at least there was still a weakness they could exploit. Now that option is basically gone. And the scary thing is that Homelander already seemed unbeatable before this. We've seen him overpower almost every major supe in the series. We've seen bullets bounce off him, explosions barely scratch him, and entire crowds worship him like a god. The only reason the heroes still had hope was because they believed the virus or Soldier Boy could neutralize him. But after this episode, that hope feels shattered. Still, the show carefully leaves a few possible ways Homelander can still be defeated, and I think those clues are extremely important for predicting the ending. The biggest one is obviously Soldier Boy himself. Even though Homelander now has V1 flowing through his body, Soldier Boy's depowering blast still appears capable of removing powers entirely. We literally saw Bombsight lose his abilities, proving that V1 doesn't protect against that energy. That means Soldier Boy remains the single biggest threat to Homelander in the entire universe of the show. The question now becomes whether anyone can convince him to turn against his son again. And honestly, that feels emotionally possible. Soldier Boy is unstable. His loyalty changes constantly depending on his emotional state. Right now, he chose Stormfront's vision over humanity. But if Homelander disappoints him again, betrays him, or shows weakness, Soldier Boy could absolutely snap and reverse course. Then there's Ryan.
The show keeps reminding us that Ryan's power level is terrifying. People forget that Ryan nearly killed Stormfront as a child. His raw power may actually surpass Homelander's eventually. The only reason Homelander dominated their previous confrontation is because Ryan still lacks experience and emotional control. But if Ryan finally reaches his breaking point, especially after seeing more innocent people die because of his father, he could become the ultimate weapon against Homelander. The tragedy here is that Ryan doesn't want to become a monster. He still wants to believe there's good inside his father. But every episode pushes him closer toward realizing that Homelander can't be saved. And then there's Butcher. Honestly, Butcher feels like the wild card heading into the finale. His powers are still not fully understood, and the show keeps teasing that he's becoming something much darker than a normal supe. The fact that he killed Victoria Neumann so effortlessly proves he has abilities we still haven't fully explored. At the same time, his failure against Bombsight showed he still has limitations. That balance is important because it means the writers are probably saving his true potential for the final episodes. I still think there's a strong chance Butcher sacrifices himself to stop Homelander. It would perfectly fit his character arc. He spent the entire series destroying himself piece by piece for revenge, and now he may literally burn out his own body to finish the job. The Bombsight fight quietly set up the future of the franchise. One thing this episode also did really well was connect the main story to Vought Rising without making it feel completely disconnected. Bombsight's introduction wasn't just random fan service.
The episode clearly established that he has deep history with Soldier Boy, and that rivalry is probably going to become one of the core elements of the prequel series. What's especially interesting is how much emotional depth they suddenly gave Soldier Boy through these flashbacks and revelations. Earlier seasons mostly treated him like a brutal parody of toxic masculinity and celebrity culture. But now the show is reframing him as a tragic figure shaped by love, ideology, and unresolved trauma from America's past. That's exactly why Vought Rising suddenly feels way more important. The prequel now has the opportunity to explore how Soldier Boy and Liberty became so connected in the first place, and how their relationship eventually shaped Homelander's future. Because when you really think about it, Homelander is basically the product of everything those two characters represented: nationalism, superiority, violence, propaganda, and the obsession with power. That's why Soldier Boy's decision in this episode matters beyond just shock value. It ties the past, present, and future of the franchise together. And honestly, the fact that Bombsight survived this confrontation probably means he still has a huge role to play moving forward. The show spent too much time building him up for this to be his only major appearance. Whether he appears again in the finale or becomes a central figure in the spin-off, he clearly matters to the larger mythology now.
Run.
Our nerdy thoughts. And there you have it, guys. Episode the 6th may have completely changed the future of the boys forever, because Homelander is now more powerful than ever. Soldier Boy just made the most shocking choice of the entire season, and honestly, the final 2 episodes feel absolutely unpredictable at this point. Whether Sage is still secretly controlling everything, whether Ryan finally turns against his father, or whether Butcher sacrifices himself to stop Homelander, the ending of this series is shaping up to be completely insane. But I want to know what you guys think. Did Soldier Boy make the right decision? Can Homelander still be defeated now that he has V1? And who do you think survives the finale? Drop all your theories and predictions down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future breakdowns, ending explained videos, and all the latest updates on the Boys universe and Vought Rising. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.